everyone. I'm Maggie Broderick. I'm the program coordinator for New Global Citizens. Today we're having a Global Citizen Hangout with an expert from Pakistan, and I'm going to have her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her work.
Thank you, Maggie. My name is Huma Zafar, and I am running an organization called Mubarika Campus here in Pakistan. It's located in the rural parts of Punjab.
Wonderful. Can you tell me a little bit about the global issue that you're looking at today and why it's important for all of us to understand?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I am running an organization called Mubarika Campus, which is supporting free education for 1,500 students in the rural parts. The issue that I'm supporting is universal education. I believe that every child has a right to free education in this world.
Wonderful. How did you get involved in this project in the Mubaraka campus?
My friend's father built this building back in 2006, and we connected on Facebook a couple of years ago. He sent in a Facebook cause request asking to support his school. And at that time, this is before Facebook pages had started and there was causes. So I joined the cause and I realized there was a lot that could be done. I've always been very passionate of giving back to the community, and he was generous enough to let me run the show pretty much.
Wonderful. And something that I think is important to note is that Mubaraka Campus is actually an NGC global project. So for everyone that's wanting to get involved, that's an NGC team, this is a great project to support, whether it's community awareness events or advocacy events or fundraising as well. Can you explain a little bit more about Mubaraka Campus and your work that you do there?
Absolutely. I am running this school with a team of 2 other members. There's 3 of us, and what we do is we divide up our work, of course. The school supports 1,500 children from 13 different villages. And when we first started in 2006, we had approximately 400 students, and we grew to about 700. And we noticed that our female population was significantly more than the male population. The reason being was obviously we were in the rural parts, you usually see government schools that are very run down. They're called ghost schools. What that means is it's a vacant building. There could be 14 students, there could be 16 students. The teachers don't attend. So the school that we provide is what we call quote unquote rich education, what you would find in an elite institution in the major cities of Pakistan. And we provide quality education to them. They are math classes, they're English classes. The school is English medium, which means everything is taught in English. We have computer science that we teach them. We do have access to internet. So here the students are getting to learn a lot about the world sitting in the rural parts. So now, like I mentioned, we're at 1,500 students, and in 2011, we started building our second campus. So we expanded, we doubled our capacity, and in a nutshell, that's what Mubarika Campus is.
Wonderful, and I know we've had a few conversations, technology is a little bit crazy, but can you explain some of the success stories, and not obviously just with the students, but also with the community members?
Great question, Maggie. I will share a couple of different types of success stories that we've had. My favorite story of all times is we have a student, one of our first students, who also coincidentally is named Mubarika. She was with us since inception, and she graduated recently, and she topped amongst 700 schools. So when she finished her metric examinations, which is the equivalent of high school, she had the highest scores they'd seen in that year. So she put in a request where she wished to further her education and become a doctor. And that process was very heartwarming for all of us. We had one of our team members go out to meet her family, and we encouraged them that we would pay for their further education. And we put up a special grant, all the family members, friends, we put up a special grant for her, and now she's studying to be a doctor. So, and here in the city, of course, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I've also shared before that we have a child who is deaf and is also an orphan, lives with his grandmother. And I love, even though we are not capable of providing education to students with certain disabilities, but we have teachers who have beautiful hearts. So he comes to school and he gets to learn a lot, and he gets to become part of the community, I would say. So he's learning to live a normal life as opposed to not having access to education at all. And my last story that I will share for successes is how education or setting up an institution like this in rural parts of Pakistan does not affect only the students, but it also affects the community members. We've hired over 40 teachers. We have over 35 male staff members, which includes a gardener, an accountant, drivers that help, support the staff of Mubarika campus. But we've also provided an economic opportunity for local village people. There is a family that prior to Mubarika campus would earn $3 a month out of the farming practices they had. So we leased out the cafeteria space to him, where he and his wife operate. So the wife makes the food at home, which is usually like she'll make a kebab or she'll have pakoras and samosas, which she brings to school and sells them very inexpensively to the students. So out of 1,500 students, maybe 300 or 400 can afford to purchase it also. And together as a family they work. And they shared with me the last time I was there that they're now earning over $70 a month, which is fantastic. So their children study at Mubarika as well, and the parents work in the canteen. And then when we opened our second campus, they requested, because the buildings are also adjacent to each other, they requested if they could operate the other building as well. So we said absolutely. And I'm hoping when I go back in a couple of weeks, they'll share with me that they've doubled their income as well.
Absolutely. I think we've talked about before, and New Global Citizens is huge on this, about looking at what are the issues, and it's beyond just, okay, universal education helps children, but it also helps the family, it helps the community members, and education is a really powerful thing for people, and just building and having these different resources available can really impact an entire society.
Indeed. We've also talked before about how, other than economic effects, the morale of the community and the ownership and the pride that they take in having an institution like this in their village is phenomenal. Honestly, every time I visit the campus, I am rejuvenated. I feel so motivated to help do something extra for them. So my next steps, just being based there, is learning the fact, we're providing education, but here I have this empty building in the evening. Can I not teach vocational skills? Something that will deliver jobs to me once they graduate. And I don't want to limit that vocational skill training to students. I want to reach out to the women in the families. So once they've done the housework and the children are home, can they not come in for an hour and learn how to create a handicraft that they can sell out in the cities? And sitting at home, they have an economic opportunity. So the thing is, when we educate a child, the child automatically goes back and educates the mother, and vice versa. It is a cycle.
Wonderful. We've talked obviously about why it's important that people are educated, but why would someone care, let's say in the United States or in Pakistan, about the United States, vice versa? Why would someone care about universal education around the world when they only know what's kind of around them?
A fantastic question. I've lived in the US for 10 years. So I have seen both systems of education. Now, I'm one of the luckier ones who've grown up in the elite part of Pakistan, where I've seen luxury all my life, right? And then I traveled to the US and, I had a fantastic scholarship, doing really well. And then I started traveling with work to the rural parts of America. And I would go to small towns like Americus, Georgia, in rural parts of Alabama. And that's where I saw poverty as well. And I saw a lot of it. And I realized then that poverty is universal. It is not something that is limited to underdeveloped countries or developing countries or even just the developed world. Universal education is a privilege for everybody, right? And it needs to be, it's a basic human right, right? Just as water is, clean sanitation is, then education should be a basic human right as well. So sitting in America, I learned to care about children in Kenya. I learned to care about children in Americus, Georgia. And obviously, I care very deeply for the people in Pakistan because of the disparities that I see. When you travel to the Southeast or South Asia, for example, you see a lot of regional disparities. So you will have social disparities based on being in developed countries versus being in underdeveloped countries. But within the underdeveloped countries, you will see that the upper middle class and the rich have a lot, and the poor live significantly below the poverty lines. See, in the States, you have social safety nets, right? Which basically means if I'm unemployed, I can go and get, food stamps. I know the government will take care of me. There are no social safety nets in Pakistan as such. There is a program that has been put in place now, but it only reaches the poor. It does not reach the poorest of the poor. So my aim is to help the poorest of the poor. And why should I, sitting in America, care about a student here in Pakistan or anywhere else in the world? Because it's humanity, and humanity is universal. And you should help your neighbor, you should help everybody, right?
Absolutely, and I think it's important. We always explain to our students and our teachers, and we want everyone to look at the issues at the local and global level, because as you said, poverty looks very similar around the world, and so it's not just in one place far off, and it can be a lot closer than you think to your home.
Absolutely. I'll give you a small example, Maggie. When you're hungry, you're hungry. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, right? And if you haven't eaten food in 10 days, you haven't eaten food in 10 days. It's honestly that simple.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit more about how you've helped make your organization, Mubarika Campus, more sustainable? So financially, but also so its mission will continue on beyond your work.
And that is something that is absolutely a challenge that I'm facing right now as well, to know that if I'm not here today, this organization must be self-sustaining, right? So there's a couple of things that I'm working on that I've already shared with you right now. One would be vocational skills, which basically means because the community has so much pride in what they do, right? And the fact that we have a university there. So if we do create some form of vocational programming where the students learn and the families learn, and with that money they support their own school, that would be one way of doing it. That is not the most sustainable way. I would not feel very comfortable. It would just add on, supplement, but it would not be the most sustainable way. I have a network of donors right now, we're ranging between 50 to 100 donors that help support the students. So I have personal friends, personal family that have, pledged $25 a month. And that's all it takes to change a child's life. So when you do the math, I mean, you don't eat out one meal a week, right? And you help somebody, you actually impact somebody's life. And there's no comparing to that, right? So we've partnered with a lot of organizations. There's NGC, there's One World Children's Fund, there's 1 Million Solar Lights, there's the Citizens Foundation in Pakistan. So we're working with different organizations all over the world, because 1,500 students is now. My goal is to continue to expand. And Mubarika is just one, right? We will, with the help of everybody, build more schools all over Pakistan. It's not going to be limited to one campus, one organization. We need donors, and we need philanthropists, and we need help. So we need financial donations, we need technical support, we need analytical support. There's a lot of ways for us to get involved with this project.
Absolutely. Can you probably go next to it? So if someone wants to get involved in your work, how could they do that?
Very simply, you have to have compassion in your heart. And once you have compassion, there'll be ways that automatically come. So first and foremost, you can help me spread awareness, and awareness about very specific causes. Not the fact that, they're poor in Pakistan, so they can't go to school. No, I want awareness that says, here are 20 million children or 40 million children are out of school this year in Pakistan. How can we send them to school, right? And then breaking down, let's look at another route of analysis. Why are they out of school? And they're very, very basic reasons, because there's no bathrooms, there's no security, right? There's a threat of, there's a surge of terrorism in this part of the world. So people are very afraid of sending their daughters to school, right? And then poverty plays a huge role. The opportunity cost of sending your child to school versus keeping them at home and making them work, right? So here's $7 coming in versus me having to spend money to send my child to school, even though our school is free, but they would rather that they work and they earn money, right? So you can help spread awareness about that. The awareness that I want to spread about is that universal education is a right for every child, number one. Number two, what are the factors that affect or limit people from going to school, and how can we address those, right? To become involved, share our Facebook page, talk about it, talk about the issues, talk about female education and why it's important, or how educating the female educates a nation. Other things that you can talk about is, of course, financial donations always help, because we will show you how your money has impacted people. But wanting to volunteer, you can help us do a fundraiser. We have an organization in California where the children raised money for us. They sold wallets made out of duct tapes and sent us $1,000 so we could set up a water cooler for clean drinking water for students. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. You just have to be passionate about wanting to do it.
And I think what's important, and obviously you've proven it with your organization, is that students come from it in a place of how can I learn, and let's ask questions to learn more about the issue, and not assuming that you know all the answers, right? Just going with it with an open mind and being ready to learn about the issue from people that know it best, and those are the people that are dealing with it on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And I also, when you talk about awareness, and what you just mentioned, you have to look beyond the media to really understand it, because the media sensationalizes a lot of the factors. But to truly understand, look at what UNICEF talks about, look at what the World Bank talks about, look at what Asian Development Bank talks about, right? Here are big development partners in developing countries, and look at some of the human development indexes and really understand what the issues are, what the culture is, what the social norms and restrictions are. You have to open, the awareness has to first start within. So learn about the culture and learn about the differences.
Great. You've touched a little bit on it since you've lived, different parts of the world, but what does a global citizen mean to you?
A global citizen basically is, I would like to call myself a global citizen, right? Which basically means not having lived in different parts of the world, but caring about everybody all over. I don't think, Maggie, there's any difference between you sitting where you are or me sitting here, right? We're breathing the same air. Honestly, there's no difference. I have friends in Kenya, and we bonded over Baywatch, right? So, and that's how we bonded over in college. She grew up watching Baywatch. I grew up watching Baywatch. Sitting in Pakistan, she's sitting in Nairobi, right? So David Hasselhoff has made his way all across the world. And that's how you realize how connected the world truly is, right? And if you are that connected, then you are a global citizen. So when I was in America, I cared about the people in America's Georgia, right? And when I travel to different parts of the world, I care about people, because I honestly believe humanity is universal.
Great. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And I think also, being a global citizen is a daily thing. It doesn't matter, like you said, where you are. I think it's looking at your decisions and making sure that you have the globe, your world around you, and people that you may not even know in your mind in terms of the decisions and the actions that you're taking.
And then also, Maggie, having a very open mind, right? I think that's very important in being a global citizen, and recognizing that everybody's different and accepting and tolerating the differences. And I'll use the word tolerate again, because it's very important to, you understand that the person's different, but also hear them out and understand their point of view and not judge, just accept.
Absolutely. Kind of a last thing for us, is there a website or resource if someone wants to learn more about what you do or the issue in general of universal education? Where can they go, online or a book, whatever that is?
Sure. One of my personal favorite websites where I learn a lot from about universal education is thegirleffect.org. It's a 20-second video that talks about how education plays a role in a female's life and how that affects communities. I also visit a lot of UNICEF websites, a lot of World Bank websites, just to learn about data and learn about, infant mortality rates and stunted growth in Pakistan, and really about true facts, right? And then, of course, there's our website, which is mubarikafoundation.com, which talks a lot about what we've done, what we're wanting to do, what we'd like to achieve. And of course, a very active Facebook page where we like to share stories and visits and pictures, so you can see what we're doing there on the field. And I'm always an email away if somebody wants to email to ask particular questions.
Perfect. Can you, if there's anything else you would like to add or like to share with us as a final comment, please, this is your time.
Thank you. Definitely, I would like to share that education is very, very important, and it changes lives. And, there's a great report that I read that I encourage everybody to read. It's by the Population Council, which talks about 3 factors that affect human life, and that is education, health, and nutrition. And I'm trying to make a difference in people's lives by providing them free education. My next goal is to be able to provide them good nutrition and affect their health as well. Because if I can impact 1,500 lives, those 1,500 lives will impact 3,000 lives. And those 3,000 lives will impact, an additional 6,000 lives. And the cycle will continue. And I need wishes, I need support, and I need feedback and ideas. I'm one person, right? But here's a lot of people out there watching me would like to support me or help our cause. Please do. Any kind of feedback would be fascinating, just incredible for me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, for any NGC student or team that wants to learn more about Mubarika campus, they have their own page on their website. And I'll also provide the information in the link below. But thank you so much for supporting us and for being part of our Global Citizen Hangout.
I appreciate it very much. Have a lovely day.
Great. Thank you.